Well, I guess this marks the start of episode 6, or part 6. It's midweek, early November, and I'm heading out to Drew's to meet the window guy that's chucking in the windscreen and the rear window. This is the first time it's going to be a fully sealed cab, fully waterproof since I started the chop, and pretty much once I get a tray on it, I'll actually be able to drive it. So yeah, that's super exciting, really keen. I'll get some clips of them chucking the windows in. So we'll get all that done now.
Cool down. Cool down.
So it's just trying to get stuff done. But yeah, it's coming along, and tomorrow I'll set the camera up when we're priming it, and you'll be able to
Inception.
see that.
I hear him chatting the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, man's so tough, but man's keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize, white girls, let her tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan, if you wanna touch me, please use caution. Beg, please get on your knees, came from the jungle, up in the trees. I got a few tricks up in the sleeve, a whole place scream, gotta get out the. Yeah, I hear him chatting the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, man's so tough, but man's keep.
Hey guys, so it's the weekend after paint, and last night I just set up all the stuff that I could be bothered setting up. So I chucked the bar on, chucked the grill on, put the new Dirty Life rims on the 37s. You've already seen that I got the windscreen in. I got all the new vinyl in, seats back in, got the snorkel back on, heaps of stuff. So yeah, it's starting to look like a car again. Took it for a cheeky drive today. I'm so stoked. I've been missing this car so much. I'm just working on the tray, but I thought I'd get you up to date on what I've done on the tray so far. I didn't film any of it because it's literally just tacking squares together, that's all it is. So I'll show you where I'm up to anyway. So starting at the chassis, got the tray mounts from Alterra, got 100mm blocks, and then 100mm bearers or chassis or whatever you want to call it, and then the tray sits on top. And so I've mitered the front, and then these are set down like 15mm I think, so that the bed can be recessed. Left a gap in this section here because that's where my tyre is going to tuck, and then at the back, instead of mitering it, it's going to have that RHS bit there, that'll be the top, and then it'll have like a tube around the bottom with tail lights in it. At the moment, I'm just in the process of finish welding all the tight radiuses, and then I'll probably start getting the side sliders on. A couple of people have said that I should be bracing those kinds of mounts because they can roll over. I used to have that concern as well, but that's exactly the way I built the GU tray, and that's never had a problem. And although a lot of the tray is 2mm wall, these chassis and the blocks down here, they're 3mm wall. So, I mean, maybe one day if I slap it up against a tree hard enough, it'll, like, you've got to bend all 4 of them for any one of them to bend, because there's no give in that tray whatsoever. So I highly doubt it would be an issue, but if it is, then I'll brace them up. But yeah, if you've got any questions, feel free to reach out. I mean, like I always say, I'm not a fabricator, but it's also just welding squares and rectangles together. So anyway, I'll keep cracking along and I'll update you as I go. Well, I think it's about 2 o'clock. I'm gonna call it there. Both wheel arches mocked up with clamps, and I have mostly done the back. So yeah, I've done one notch bit there. I'll do the other notch bit there. I think I'll probably have a tube up the side here as well as this tube. And I might even have a bit coming from here to here. Man, that rain is going fucking nuts. I think I'm gonna call it there. And I'll pick you guys up tomorrow. Cheers. Got more tube work done. And the tailboard done. And I'm just waiting on one of my mates to make the twin tube headboard. I'll show you the back of it so far. So it's midweek at the moment. I've just been to General Metal Products to see Brendan there. I'm still at the stage where I'm pretty green when it comes to fabrication and especially tube work. And so with a headboard, they have to be identical because they're going to be butted right up against each other. When I've been doing tube work with this cheaper bender, it's hard to get them on the exact same plane. And so you don't want there to be cut and joins in it. You kind of want it to be one consistent piece so that, you know, if you do roll over, there's no weak spots in the tube. So yeah, he did those up for me, which I'm super grateful for. He always looks after me. So I'm back home again. Thanks heaps to Brendan. He also made a couple of plates for me that will act as like infill spaces between the tube. So I'll show what they look like. So there's the twin pieces of tube for the headboard. And then these are some plates that he cut up with the laser cutter for me and then folded a nice contour on it. These tubes will be spaced 50mm apart, and then it'll have sections of this in between it to go right around the cab. So yeah, once again, thanks heaps to Brendan at General Metal Products. And if you're in Tassie or Lonnie and you need any tube work done like that, go and see him. So I reckon next up you'll see me back at Drew's putting this on, putting the infill in and putting all the tail lights in. So we'll cut to that. Cheers. So here we are again, another trip down to Drew's. I'll either start working on the cab guard or I'll start working on the infills for the back of the tray to get the tail lights and that in. So I'm at Drew's. I'm just cutting out the infills for the back here. So I've got passenger side one done, driver side one done, and I'm just doing the number plate one now.
Honestly, I don't know who the fuck to trust. Is he my friend or my foe? I'm off the exit, draw. Yeah, she give me that clean as well. I remember back when I was younger, I was happy. Nowadays feel like no one understand me. I'm good at artists, silly, I'm Bob, Bambi. Baby's yellow, text. She wanna eat me like candy. Run up the racks, track me. I'll run up the racks like an athlete. Big facts, you're the dick, 6 flags. Ballin' like, think flags, told her I love her. I ain't really mean that, yeah. Nowadays these people are funny. Remember way back, she was lovely. These bitches sneaky can't cover. I got 4 hoes that went top. I remember I was selling dog food, no kibbles, just to get me some skrilla. Remember I was really on the block like Tetris, just to get me some chip. Surfing, rockin' the parking lot, my weed louder than like the gay bar block. I be on her mind like non-stop, yeah, had to cut the little thought, no tomahawk. Remember smoking blunts with my friends, the seconds a couple of days, yeah, lost a lot to the fan. That's the shit got me upset, but at 8, then I finally leave doggy, I'm smoking with side. 4-4, I'm a zombie, this the girl, but she want. These little boys think I'm cocky. My bitch real like Mary Poppins, yo bitch still like an ice, smoking on killer, I eat a coffee. My bitch drip like Mary Poppins, yo bitch still like an ice, smoking on killer, I eat a coffee. Nowadays these people are friendly, remember way back she was lovely. These bitches sneaky can't cover. I got 4 hoes that went top. I remember.
Drew and I have just done a heap of work on the tray. We took it off the car. I blacked the chassis out to get rid of all the overspray because it had like copper weld through primer and just shit like that. So I've gone over the whole chassis with black. The tray was all only sort of tacked together just to design it and put it together. So we flipped it over, done all the welds on the bottom, flipped it back over, done all the welds on the top. So the headboard's done. And that's all fully welded in too. So the tray's fully welded aside from the wheel arches, which I'll do tomorrow once the tray's back on the car. But I'm gonna have a coffee and then I'm gonna come back out, sand all the slag off and sand all the high spots off on the weld. And then I'll prime all the welds up so that they won't rust between now and the point that I paint it. But I'll give you a look at everything and show where we're up to. So the headboard is all welded in. That's 40 MB with some tube notch to space them apart. It's got 32 MB tube sliders up the side, which will have the wheel arches welded to it. There's the tailboard at the back. But yeah, it looks pretty good. I'm really happy with it. So I'm just here doing the infills for the back end. They're there. And these are the tail lights here. Get those in and then get it back on the car. So I'm getting these located up. I've done the other side, and so all I've got to do now is line those 2 bits of tape up and then get it true with the tray. And so I'm basically using one of these. You can put it on the tray, zero it up, and then put it on this, make sure it's back to 0. That's within 0.05 of a degree, so I think we'll tack it there. So they're all tacked on. I'm gonna bring it out into the light so I can see it. So that's it, got both sides on. Mud guards are all done. I've just spent the last, probably hour stripping back all the wiring. The wagons have a bunch of stuff in the loom that I don't need, so that there was one side. This here was the other. You basically just disconnected at the plugs, and that used to go inside the rear doors, like demister for the rear window, rear speakers, all that kind of thing. Stripped all that out, and now all that I've got left is these 4 wires and those 4 wires, which is brake, tail, indicator, reverse. Next up, I'll be putting the floor in, painting it. And honestly, I don't know how many more of these I'm gonna do. Like, we're just about there. And yeah, it's silly to drag it out any further. So with any luck, next episode will be the last one, and it'll be, you know, finished or very close to. And then in 2 or 3 weeks time, I've got the first trip in it with Tyler down here. We're gonna go and do the west coast of Tassie. There's still a lot to do, even though the chop's done. Like, I've got to get it. Like, all I've done is turned it into a ute, but I've taken out all my touring gear, so it's still got to be a 4-wheel drive. So I've got to either put my lithium and red arc system back in, or I need to get my 24-volt system underway. So, you know, I'll get the tray finished welded and painted, and I'll see how time's looking, and obviously how money's looking too, because like, I've got to buy all the stuff to change the winch over to 24 volt, and I'll be running my fridge and everything on 24 volt once I do that as well. So see where I'm at financially and time wise. But yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, thanks heaps guys, I appreciate it. I'll see you next time.